This is the day that the Lord has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Clayton Udoh, and on the internet I'm known as Biafra 2.0. All hail Biafra. All hail the new construct that shall be built on a different platform, on a different ideology, on a different level of mental alacrity, on a different level of philosophy. All hail Biafra. Today I want to talk about some things that some people want to play around with. I want to talk about some things that some people do not understand. And once I talk about that, I'm done. And I'm so as not to waste your time, let's just go right into it. Number one, the Fulani herdsmen by nature do not settle. They never ever settle. Let's not deceive ourselves. I hear that the governor of Enugu State and some other governors think that a settlement program is going to do something good for them. It's going to change everything. It's going to, but these men don't settle. Number one. Number 2 point, if they come into your lands, one of the things that bothers them, instead of them living in peace, is going to be that you don't worship the God they worship. They have a tendency to start trying to convert the land into their own gods and everything like that. And ladies and gentlemen, there'll be no games played. One of the things that I see the Southerners do a lot is to play monkey games. They think that, I've seen a lot of the rulers in the south regions of Nigeria, in the Niger Delta regions, going to, sit down in the mosque and pretend like, as we're sitting here in the mosque that we are in solidarity with them or so, and then you leave, maybe you go to the mosque twice or thrice, sit down there and pretend like you're in solidarity with them, and then you leave. No, it's not going to be like that this time around. After that twice or thrice, and they discover that you're playing games, they will kill you. They will kill you. And they will kill you. There have been cases where even you go and sit down there and they tell you, hey, like it has happened in Akwa Ibom State, it has happened in several places. People go and sit down there and they're told, bring 1,000 more converts, bring more people into the system. Because there is a conversion scheme underground, an underground illegal conversion game being used. It is about the Islamization of the southern regions of Nigeria. The idea that Fulani herdsmen who for 100, if not thousands of years have been nomadic wanderers will come and settle down in the southern regions of Nigeria and just settle down there. And that 20 years from now, all we'll see is them just inside the little pieces of land that we give them with their cows smiling back at us. It's not true. They are not people who sit down. First of all, even the traditions of these people are different. In our traditions of the southern regions of Nigeria, the Niger Delta regions of Yoruba regions, land can belong to an individual. This land belongs to me. That land belongs to me. This plot of land belongs to so and so because he bought it, and so on and so forth. In the Yoruba traditional culture, the way they think, and don't forget that these are uneducated people that stick by their culture. In their culture, nobody owns land. Land belongs to, it's a global thing that they own. It's global. It's anywhere they go, they own that land for the moment they're there. Nobody owns land. Nobody, has land. Ladies and gentlemen, the scheme that is involved in Islamization of the southern regions of Nigeria, the Niger Delta regions, will create the greatest poverty the world has ever known. It's going to create a disaster beyond what we understand, because part of it comes with a kind of enforced poverty. We already have southern Niger Delta governors and leaders who enforce poverty upon the people. But this will be another level of enforced poverty that you guys have never seen before. Because the same farms that, already now we have a lot of the governors, like the governor of Akwa Ibom State and a few other governors that want the whole populace to become farmers. Push everybody back into the farm because they have no vision. They have no plans for the people. They have nothing. Even the president of Nigeria, everybody's saying now that when you see someone who is rich, it's not good money. Good money should be you going back to the farms to plant tomatoes and everything. Meanwhile, everybody cannot be a farmer. There are people who are called farmers, and that is their job. But now they want to push everybody back into the farms. Now, where the enforced poverty will start is you're pushed back into your farms, and then the cows will come into the same farm and eat all your crops. And you're finished. So with the enforced poverty, then inside the Quran, inside the Islamic book, the Islamic religion or so, they have provisions for people like you where they ring the bell and you come and line up and collect your alms. So the system is designed in such a way to put certain people underneath. Once it puts you underneath, there's a provision for your survival, at least, so you may not die. You sit down and collect arms and you become a beggar for the rest of your life. While you have the elite up there who do the kind of things like what Buhari was involved in, which is creating Boko Haram and creating the situation where they say arms are being supplied to these guys and taking that money and pocketing it. And then later on losing control of Boko Haram. Boko Haram becomes what it has become today. So these people create schemes like this that create lots of money. It's lots of money that they would have from the Islamization of the southern regions of Nigeria. And then in the end of the story, they will lose control of what it does to the populace. I want to warn everybody watching this thing that if you want to be off the seesaw called the construct called Nigeria, the seesaw of a construct called Nigeria, now is the time for you to start thinking clearly, to leave what that thing is all about, because it will destroy your life. The bickering today, is it going to be a Yoruba president? Tomorrow, will it be a Northern president? Next tomorrow, will it be Southern president? It is not to your own advantage. The bickering is not to your own advantage. The corruption is not to your own advantage. The embezzlement is not to your own advantage. And the ongoing thinking on the ground is not your own advantage at this point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the time of illumination of the mind. We're in the time of the enlightenment. This is the time of the enlightenment. The time has come for you to become enlightened. And I'm going to give you a three-pronged approach to enlightenment. Number one, don't deceive yourself. Light does not mix with darkness. That church that you're sitting in that is so comfortable with the politicians, with the kind of poverty in Nigeria, with the kind of backwardness of Nigeria, with the kind of lack of development of Nigeria, has nothing to do with the Spirit of God. Where the Spirit of God is, go and look in your Bible how it ended up. None of the disciples died peacefully. None of the apostles died peacefully. The Spirit of God does not play around with corrupt governments. It does not play around with corrupt politicians. The Spirit of God does not answer to darkness, and it is not friendly with darkness, and nor does it make darkness to be comfortable. The Spirit of God is anti-darkness, is anathema to darkness. You guys that are sitting in those churches and the politicians are also coming in there and sitting down there peacefully after they've known that it is their fault that Nigeria is where it is today. The kind of poverty we have in Nigeria, the kind of irrationality we have in Nigeria, that Nigeria has more resources than most countries in the world, including United Arab Emirates and the Dubais that most of you want to take women to go and sleep with them in those hotels. The fact that you allow those politicians to sit peacefully with you in church. The fact that you have sometimes leaders like the head of Deeper Life saying that Buhari is God sent. You should know at this point that religion does not serve you. You pray to your God. You kneel to your God. But when Jesus Christ came to preach, he preached about a religion that is personal unto you. These kingdoms of churches, these mega churches, that is not what Christ was preaching about. Christ was preaching about a personal lifestyle that you have that is informed by you, and that when the Holy Spirit comes into you, it will show you what to do. But a lot of you don't have the Holy Spirit in you. So you are shown what to do by men of God who have their own ulterior motives. That's the number one thing. The number one point is that the first sign of you realizing that you're part of a construct, a part of a horrible horror movie, a sick situation, is your religion that has become a construct that enhances the corruption and the problems that we have in Nigeria today. And you see men of God who claim that they worship a God who is no respecter of persons, not being able to speak about the evil in the land, not being able to say anything about what is going on. Somehow they worship a God who is not a respecter of persons, but they're a respecter of the politicians, they're respecters of the systems. And that shows that they are fake, they're not of God. Ladies and gentlemen, the next one is the politicians. These men were sent to serve you. You were not sent to serve them. This is the other aspect of enlightenment that you guys must have. The enlightenment of knowing that they were sent to serve you. You were not sent to serve them. And that the enforced and the manufactured poverty that they've brought upon you, which helps them with their election cycles, the people must rise up and break it. They make you poor. They keep you poor. They keep you poor because they know that by the time election comes, you will do anything for peanuts. They keep you poor for 4 years. And then you continuously, how long shall we have older men, older women acting like buffoons, acting like monkeys? Why do you respond to them when it's election time, election cycle? How long will you be used for the elections? And then after that, the poverty kicks in. And the poverty lasts for 4 years. And after 4 years, they call you back again for the next year because they ensure that you have nothing. You see nothing. You have not a single dime in your pocket. And then when it's time for elections, they call you back up and give you only. People fight over things as little as 10,000 naira. Just they say Million Man March and all these things. Rented crowds, rented people. And let me tell you something about the secret of renting. Here's the secret about life. What a man gives to you as money, when someone gives you money, he's giving you what he thinks you are worth. So always have in the back of your mind that if someone removes 5,000 naira and gives to you, he thinks you're worth 5,000 naira. If someone gives you 10,000 naira, he thinks you're worth 10,000 naira. Isn't it a shame that you who claims you know your religion and that you know that God sent Christ to die for you. He said the God who made this whole universe, who made all the planets, who made this unlimited universe with unlimited power, sent his only begotten son to die for you. And that is how God sees you in terms of value. But that in you, the way you see yourself in terms of value is 10,000 naira from a fellow man, 5,000 naira from a fellow man, 20,000 naira from a fellow man. Some of you see yourselves in terms of values of an iPhone or an iPad. A lot of you have no value for yourselves. You have low self-esteem. You have no value because if you had value for yourself, someone will show you 10,000 naira and you would rather stay hungry than to receive that thing, which is a confirmation of you are confirming that, yes, I agree, that's how much I'm worth. Some of you you're worth 5,000 naira. 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira, 30,000 naira. Some of you are worth just 100,000 naira, which if you do the translation, if you just convert it and do all the conversion, so it's about $50 or so. I don't know, it's just small money. Some of you are worth peanuts. A lot of you, even though religion has taught you and you sat in Sunday for the last 30 years of your life being taught that God values you so much that he brought his son, which was also God, to die for you. Your value was the blood of a God. That was your value. Your value was blood of God. Your value, the value of you as a human being was blood of God. But it is so strange to see that even though your value was blood of God, you believe that your worth is 10,000 naira. And that's the second level of elimination. That these politicians don't love you. They have no respect for you. And that the manufactured poverty that they've manufactured for you is wasting your time. Because you know what? Poverty is not just about you. At some point, when poverty has lasted for so many years, it also destroys the generations to come. You cannot be poor all your life from the time you were 20 years old to the time you're 40 years old. Once you graduated from university, you're poor till you're 40, and think that it works well for your children or works well. Some of you will never even marry. Some of you can't marry. You can't marry in your early 30s, or if some of you are marrying in your 40s, 50s, 60s because of poverty. And in this waste of time that you're waiting and you're wasting all this time and you're sitting around giving excuses for everything or so, do you think your children will be able to rise up? Do you think poverty is transferable? It moves down the generations based on how long it lasted in your life and how much damage it does in your life. If you are watching my video and you're from Nigeria and you are still sitting down in that church that thinks that it's okay for light to mix with darkness like I'm talking about, and you're still sitting in that church being told every day of your life that it will be better, and you're 35 years old and you still worry about rent. You still worry about your rent. You still worry about so many things in your life, then I want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that it's time for you to change your orientation, and you are allowed to change your orientation. You are allowed to change your orientation. Ladies and gentlemen, another aspect of the illumination and enlightenment of the mind that you need to come to at this point in time is that time is of the essence for you. You cannot spend your whole life following people. You cannot be following politicians. And they were also born naked as you. They were also born naked like you. How come they became people who are sitting up there and you are sitting down here licking their shoes and licking their butts every day? How can you spend your life doing that? Why don't they create an atmosphere, an economy, a situation where you also hit your prosperity and you let them be? It beats me to understand that Nigerian politicians don't want peace. Because peace would be, I don't want people swimming around me. It gives me no honor to have people swimming around me, people begging me for money, huge crowds of people waiting for me in my office. Why not have your peace? Why not allow prosperity to go so that you can, in fact, in that situation, you could even maybe steal your money in peace, than having these huge crowds around you, and you guys still don't you want to be the superstars of the system. You're just sitting down there, the spotlight is just on you and you alone, and that makes you feel good. You just want to be the cock to crow. That kind of Nigeria, those of us who are illuminated know that it is a thing that comes from very low minds. It comes from very, very inferior people with low self-esteem. Any man who is a real man does not want people to spend their whole lives worshiping him. Everybody find your way and let me also live my life in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time Nigerians woke up. And I am saying all hell Biafra. All hell Biafra. All hell. We want to break away. We don't want to argue about cows. We don't want to argue about crap. We don't want to argue about a president who also decided to become the Minister of Petroleum. We don't want to. I mean, how long do you guys get to understand what's going on with you? Every single important position in Nigeria is occupied by Northerners at this point, by Fulani people. And then still, from the police to all the service chiefs in the military down to the NNPC, all the key points. And then they give you the little peanuts to take and put in your pocket. And then you think that you're a human being. It is time for us to break up. It is time for Nigerians to wake up. You cannot spend your whole life being in poverty and you only get little money during election cycle. You cannot live like that. You will never recover from that poverty. Your children and descendants will come and spit on your grave knowing that you could have done something about it. But you refuse to do something about it because you were told that all authority comes from God. No, all authority doesn't come from God. The same Bible that is used to brainwash you, go and read it and see that there were times when bad authority came, people took action. There was a king who had bad authority. He was stabbed in his bed in the night in the same Bible. There was a time that even another king was so corrupt, people got up and went and killed them. There's been a lot of assassinations and killing of kings in the Bible and killing of people who were useless to the system in the Bible and who brought shame and suffering upon the people. We do not need anybody who cannot speak English, who has no sense of logic, who has no line of reasoning, who is very, very linear in thought. Nigeria up to this day and age, with the kind of education that Nigerians have, knowing that Nigerians, I mean, like I said in my last video, if all the Nigerians who are in the hospitals operating as medical doctors and nurses in the United States decided to leave their jobs in one day, the American medical system would collapse. We have Nigerians who are engineers in NASA sending spaceships into the farthermost parts of the universe to do exploration. We have top lawyers here, world-class lawyers, millionaires with private jets or so who are Nigerians operating in the United States and around the world. We have members of the Nigerian community who are part of the World Bank and who are sitting there and will not open their mouth to question the greatest scam in the universe, the greatest scam in the history of mankind, which is devaluation of currency. Let me talk about something about this devaluation of currency. The last time currencies were devalued, and they were heavily devalued, was with Germany. Currency devaluation was used to punish Germany after the First World War. And Sir Alfred Keyes, who was one of the greatest economists of all time, warned the United Nations and said that this punishment that you've given them, including this devaluation of currency, will drive them into war again, which is the Second World War that happened. And yes, it happened. Ever since then, you never heard anybody speaking. When was devaluation of currency reintroduced again? It was reintroduced when the global competition started, which was called globalization, which was the lie, the scam of the century. Globalization was a lie. It wasn't true. In the end, what happened in globalization? They decided these are the people, the G9 countries. These are the countries we decide will be rich. And these are the countries we decide will be poor. And guess who were the countries that decided the most will be the poorest, will be the countries that have the resources. There was a great fear that if the countries that have the resources sold their resources for true market value, that the economies that needed the resources would collapse because they would pay so much money to get the little that they need to make what they want. But ladies and gentlemen, today what happened in the end? Those economies that don't have the resources are the richest economies, and the economies that have resources are the poorest in history. And you know what? They take our resources and go and use it to create products and sell it back to us in fair market value at their own market prices. And they make billions, trillions, while we're sitting here talking about cows. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time we have illumination, the enlightenment in our minds to understand that this greatest scam called devaluation is a scam. There is no book of economics. I challenge people who are watching my video to show me a book of economics that says that devaluation of currency is very, very beautiful, is very, very wonderful, and that devaluation of currency created United States, devaluation of currency created Britain, devaluation of currency created Japan. the new Japan that we came to see. Devaluation of currency helped China to become the world power it has become. Devaluation of currency lifted up Singapore. Devaluation of currency helped Dubai. I'm challenging anybody to come and show me that thing. It's a scam. And for a whole country to be scammed, they talk about us scamming white people, scamming people out of little $50,000, but talk about a country scamming countries. This is it, the evaluation of currency. And it's time for us to wake up and have a president who can address this. Have a president who can address the issue of constant electricity. Have a president who can address the issue of the foundations of like transport, routes, roads, good accessible roads for the whole of Nigeria. Have a president who can address the issue of running water, clean running water, which is a health issue, the biggest health issue. Have a president who can address the issue of true medical, a Nigeria that is medically equipped to deal with its sick citizens, a Nigeria that is educationally equipped, and a Nigeria that is industrially equipped to take those who've been educated into the private sector and give them world-class jobs that is paying world-class salaries. We need a president who can get on that at this point in time. When you look at Kenya talking about it having the biggest wind farm in the world, using the wind to generate electricity. When you look at Rwanda saying that they are no more going to buy smartphones from China, they've created the first big smartphone industry in their own. When you look at Ghana and what Ghana is doing, the kind of economy, Ghana, I'm talking about Ghana ministers coming out to apologize for having electricity turned off for 4 hours. The electricity in Ghana. When you look at the rest of the world, Mali talking about constant electricity. When you go and look at the wonder of Equatorial Guinea, when you look at the wonder, like I said, Rwanda, internet access for all children in secondary school and in the primary school sector, then you come and look at Nigeria, then you know that Nigeria has become the shithole that Donald Trump talked about. It is time our people rose up and got enlightened to see that you don't have to follow these things. You have been programmed to be a slave with golden chains on your feet. You must follow. What is your fear? Or your fear is that you'll be laughed at because you don't follow the mainstream. Turn and look at the mainstream of Nigeria. How well are they doing that you have to follow like sheep? Nigerians have never been trained to take the initiative to think for themselves. They don't. They either have the people who do the thinking for the average Nigerian is either their pastor, their rulers, their administrators, or their parents. Their parents do the thinking for themselves. Their rulers and pastors, administrators, and so-called big men of the society. Nigerians need to think for themselves. Take your life for yourself, because you know what? You were born alone, you live your life alone, and you will die alone. Nobody loves you so much that they're taking you with them to their own version of heaven. Nobody is taking you. So why must your faith be tied to the faith of a politician? Why must your faith be tied to the faith of a pastor? It is the greatest brainwash in the history of mankind. Tie your faith to your condition. Look at your pocket. Do you have money? Do you have rent money? Or you've already started worrying about rent money for November. Look at your life. When you buy those cars, do those cars even survive up to a year with the kind of bad roads you're going through? Look at your life. Do you have a job? What do you have around you to show that you have a life? That is what matters the most, not what people say to you, not what your pastor uses to control you, and also take your money and your tithes and everything away from you. And he himself goes, you know what? The greatest shock of history, they tell you, heaven. They've already started living their heaven on here on earth. They say, wait, make sure you have your name in the book of life. They make their names to be heard here on earth. They make their wealth here on earth. And they tell you to wait for heaven. You will wait till you die. You will wait forever, because you know what? You've refused to take your initiative into your hand. Nobody who has imposed artificial suffering on you, artificial poverty on you, deserves your respect. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra 2.0. The construct called Nigeria is a seesaw. Today, is it Hausa man that is president? Tomorrow, is it a Northerner? Next tomorrow, is it a Yoruba man? Is a seesaw. Look at, it is the shame of history. Nigeria is now a country that they are blacklisting the universities. UK released a list to any guy from 2010 that did medicine in the University of Port Harcourt is banned from practicing medicine in the UK. All over the world, they're sending blacklists. All these universities in Nigeria, don't allow them to practice medicine, engineering, or law in your countries because it has collapsed. And you guys are sitting down here telling me, oh, please be careful, be gentle how you talk about Nigeria. By the way, I have a special message for those guys who called my job. Was it my job? I think they called my job over here in the United States or somewhere. They called around to try and see if they could get me fired for making a video about them while wearing, I think I was wearing a t-shirt that had some in, it looked like it was my job t-shirt or something like that. And so they called around and said, fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. My job knows my value. They know my worth. And they also know the truth about Nigeria. And they were like surprised that you guys, your country is going down the drain and you still have the guts to cause resistance. What kind of resistance are you looking at of here? Oh, he said something about us that we don't like because he's telling the truth. Yes, you guys are playing monkey business in Nigeria. Sitting inside there talking about cows, making people to argue about cows and argue about lies. You guys, the Americans have no respect for you anymore. Instead of you guys to rise up and say to yourselves, this person is telling the truth. There is a problem in Nigeria. We cannot live in this kind of influence. Do you know that my classmates who graduated with me in 1992, a lot of them in Nigeria don't have jobs. They just jump around. Some of them even jump in and start seeing if they can do video, if they can do this. I'm a video presenter, video weddings. They try to see some little businesses that they still can't succeed. A lot of people in Nigeria are being supported from people here in the United States, but we're told to shut up. We shouldn't talk. We shouldn't. Do you know how many people I've sent money who've begged me for money who are my classmates that graduated in 1992? And a lot of people here have been supporting their families and supporting their people. That is, the people have given up. There are no jobs. There's nothing in the private sector. There's nothing anywhere. But instead of the people to say there's a level of poverty that is beyond understanding. And there's a level of enforcement of wrong ideology that is not right. People will think, even the people who are living inside this thing are the ones who are fighting the most. So I am saying, ladies and gentlemen, all hell Biafra. We want a new game. We want a new construct. We want a new system where we live a life that is good for us, not a life that pleases people. How can you spend your whole life? This is a truth I got when I was 30 years old. I can never spend my life pleasing people and displease myself. If you do that, then it means you don't know why you came to this earth. You don't know why you came to this earth, that you live a life in which you displease people and displease yourself and destroy yourself, and you're still following people. You're following people. People sit down and steal all the money and annex it and hold it onto themselves so that you have to come and be begging them for money. You don't find anything weird about that. Your spirit doesn't tell you that there's something wrong with this and that I don't want to do this anymore. For how long can you beg? There's an age in which you beg. You're begging your parents, please, can you pay my school fees? Please. One thing that helped me when I left Nigeria was there's an age where begging must stop. After that, it's unnatural. After that, it is very abnormal. There's an age where begging must stop. You cannot be sitting down, spending your life at the age of 30, you're still sitting, going around to sit in front of politicians, and form some story, and he knows inside the story you're forming that you want money. At the age of 40, you're begging. And then let me tell you the worst part that has happened to Nigerians. The worst part that has happened to Nigerians is they create the atmosphere where you don't have the money. Then they do show for you when you come to beg them. They get disgusted. They're tired. They talk fast, talk quick. They deal with you. Meanwhile, they are the ones stealing the money. I mean, what more do you want? What more signals do you want that you need to change the way you think? You need to change the way you're doing things. The person that is stealing money is doing show for you. It's your money, though. I don't know if you know that, if that even translates in your brain, that it is your money. It is the money of the state. It is your money that should have created good roads, that should have created jobs. And if you had a job, you wouldn't come to stand in front of him. That should have created a life for you. It's your money, but he will now do show with your money. Like, what do you want? Why are you disturbing me? Or he ignores you. You come and kneel down in front of his cars. They're opening the door of the SUV, and he just passes and ignores you. He goes his way and ignores you. He ignores you. He goes into his office. You pursue people for weeks at a time. They don't answer you, but meanwhile, it's your money. How stupid can you get? And some of you are living lives that are shameful. That is why God has become silent about Nigeria. Because Nigerians, they've given you the brain to analyze what is going on with you. They've given you the mouth to speak. They've given you the hands and the legs and the acumen to be able to act. But you have decided to align with darkness. As long as you align with darkness, God can't come in to save you there. God cannot come in to save you there. A lot of you are actually eating, drinking, talking, laughing, and begging for money from the devil who destroyed you. That is what is happening in Nigeria today. All these Buhari, all these guys, all these Amechi, all these names, these guys, the damage they've done to Nigeria, they should stand in criminal court and answer. All of them, whether it is those from Akwa Ibom State, whether it is those from Imo, Enugu, anywhere they're from, the damage they've done to you guys in Nigeria, they should be put in criminal courts. Because the kind of money that, I know there are houses here in Houston, there are houses in Florida, there are houses in Atlanta, Georgia. They also have houses in Canada. They also have houses in London. They have houses. Meanwhile, they cannot even stay in these houses. They can't even stay in these houses. This is some of the folly about stealing. Someone will have so many cars, he can't drive them. He can only drive one at a time. You have so many houses around the world and property, some of the property gets abandoned. Some of the property gets abandoned. They just leave it there and grass will grow and things will happen. Or other people get in and live it. I've heard stories. People stole money to the point that they were giving people money to keep for me. And then when they got out of power, they went back. Those people say, I don't know what you're talking about. People have, like this, someone will sit there and say he has 60 people who owed him money. He cannot get his money back because he's no more in power to be able to even go and drag them for his money. There has been so much waste. So there's been a lot of waste. A lot of waste. And in this waste, people think that Nigeria will ever change. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for you to consider your destiny. And that your destiny cannot be tied to the destiny of men who don't give a damn about you, who have achieved what brought them to this earth to do. Your destiny cannot be tied to a mega church in which the pastor has his own ulterior motives to just keep his church running and running like a company. And you guys are just collateral. Any day you sit down there, they give you word of knowledge. If the word of knowledge doesn't come true, there's also parts of the Bible in which they can preach to remind you that the problem is you. God is being hindered nowadays by the actions of men. God cannot even get through his own prophecy for you, his own destiny for you, because you did this or you did that. If what you do hinders God, then why is he still... Look, ladies and gentlemen, enlightenment is the name of the game at this point in time. Nigeria needs to be a construct that is forgotten, and we need to move forward. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. The construct called Nigeria is no more viable. Leave it for the Fulani men to carry their cows and walk about on the beach, on the streets, through secondary schools and primary schools, walking through people's farms, the farms that you're told to go back into and become a farmer. They walk through and eat your farm, and you have that manufactured poverty in your life. But it is time for you to be comfortable enough to take your own life by the reins. Take control of your own life without being ashamed that your decisions will be different from the crowd. Do not be a sheep just following shepherds who don't give a damn about you. The truth of the matter is nobody will love you more than you love yourself. It is time for us as Nigerians to rise up to the occasion and to change our life. I think a word is enough for the wise. I've gone through so much. I've talked so much. This video is very long. But the fact of the matter is that I am seeing too many people who are thinking that it's okay to not try anything, to keep the golden chains on their legs so that they might not get anybody angry. Who should be more angry, you about your life or the person who is causing the problem for you? You are so scared because you don't want to, the person who made you poor, the poverty inflicted life that you have, you don't want to get them angry. You don't want to say anything to get them offended. You are a chicken if so, because if you try anything to interfere with their lives, they will deal with you immediately. This is the difference between men and animals. It is time we got our things together. Forget about fearing people. Forget about trying not to rock the boat. Rock the boat so that things will change for you. Scatter the status quo so that things will change for you. Leave the construct called Nigeria, the seesaw called Nigeria with the bickering tribes. Begin a brand new inside. Begin a brand new way of life. Turn a new leaf. Start a new destiny. All hail Biafra. God bless you as you listen to this, my message. Your life, whether you end up dying a pauper or dying a rich man, the responsibility is yours. It is not that of your pastor. Some of you have left the responsibility of your lives to a ministry. It's not that of your church ministry. And it's not that of that politician who you've been following for years, licking his nyash and using your tongue to lick his shoes and polish it real good. The responsibility for you to make your life and to become what you want to become in this life is yours. Thank you.